Grab your snack, grab your tea, and baby, grab a seat because the tea I got is a little bit hot. Baby, when the group chat stops clapping, the show is over. And Gypsy's inner circle, yeah, they're packing their bags. So I talked to a source, and let me tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. Because the internet only sees the filtered parts. But the group chat, baby, is screaming. First of all, Mia has finally opened up her eyes, and she's starting to see what kind of person Gypsy is. And apparently, once she saw the pattern, she stepped back instead of stepping in. And honestly, that was probably the smartest thing she could have done. Now, Christy, girl, she and Rod are literally off enjoying life now that the house is empty. They mind their business and started logging offline and touching grass. But every time Gypsy pops back online, posting something messy, it drags everybody back into the chaos. And you could cut the tension with butter and a biscuit. And baby, let's get to Thanksgiving, because let me tell you what my source said. Mia and Gypsy did not talk. Not a hello, not a pass the mac and cheese, not give me the turkey knife, nothing. That was not accidentally awkward. That was planned silence. And the cherry on top? Word is Gypsy might be low-key jealous because people keep saying Aurora look like Mia. At this point, it's only a matter of time before someone in that inner circle stops being quiet and starts telling the story from the inside. Because trust me, when people close to you start backing up, that means the real plot is happening off camera. And I'm just here with my popcorn waiting on the next episode. Stay seated, stay tuned, and stay ready because you know the tea pouring don't never stop.
Y'all heard Gypsy Rose's baby daddy is very, very sick? They don't know what's going on with him? Say what? What, Bookie? But check this out. Remember I told y'all Gypsy Rose and Kim broke up? And Christy tried to deny it, but then she accidentally told? Well, she dropped a few more nuggets. I'm gonna need y'all to listen to this. Or see it, rather. We are not commenting on it, period. I told the media from the last interview that from then on out, their personal life is personal. They haven't been together for almost 2 months. We've managed to keep it quiet for that long. But the a-hole, Brian, took it upon himself to say something. I'm not really sure who Brian is, but yeah. Gypsy didn't ask him to say anything. He's been jealous of their relationship from the get-go. I'm asking you to please not give any comment. I guess just submit the text. And I know you don't like him, but he's been really, and I mean really sick. He has been having doctor's appointment out of the ASS lately. They can't figure out what's wrong. They did an ultrasound on his lower abdomen. Whatever is going on with him isn't good. Chill. Are these people trying to set Ken up? Y'all, is Gypsy trying to tell him, if you don't want to be with me, I'm going to make sure nobody could be with you, Bookie? Christy is setting up the stage. Ciao. Miss Raina, can you tap in? Miss Raina. Tap in, Miss Raina. I'm going to need you to tap in. Because something ain't right. And we already know what Gypsy did to her last mama. I know this her next mama. Miss Raina. Miss Raina. Miss Raina. I told you. Someone right. And all of a sudden he's really sick. He wasn't sick before he got to Louisiana. And he's only been sick lately? I don't know, y'all. I don't know, child. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. You guys need to drop these comments down below and let me know what you guys think. Like I said, someone texted this to me. It came from Reddit. This does look like is Christy's page on Facebook that I blocked. But I don't know. Yo, would you be surprised? I'm just wondering. It's 2 months though. I didn't know 2 months. I knew for sure a couple of weeks ago when I told y'all, but I didn't know 2 months. So that is news to me. But you could kind of tell in that Nick Biles interview, and y'all know that ain't a lie. His body language said it all. And now it kind of makes sense as to why she kept saying she's willing to be a single parent. She could be a single parent. It's fine. If she has to do it on her own, she can do it on her own. It kind of makes sense now, don't it? His body language all makes sense. So when they went out there, they weren't even together. Allegedly. Child, I think Gypsy Rose is trying to your boy. Y'all, this is alleged, y'all. It's alleged, okay? Because this was text to me, and they said it came from Reddit. So this is alleged, child.
The video I posted yesterday, I said it was alleged. The caption says, "This is from Reddit. This is alleged." I also stated in the video that it was from Reddit. Someone sent it to me. I don't know who the messages are between. I don't know much, but if this is the case, this is my opinions on it. I said that in the message. I never said a source gave me this. I said someone texted this to me. That's how it on Reddit. So with that being said, it said that these messages are old. The Google Doc that someone sent me, it did not show that message, but it did show a message between Fancy and Ken, and basically Fancy saying that Ken was sick, and saying, like, basically, was he okay, and all that type of stuff. So it was an old message, apparently. So I took that post down on TikTok. I'm going to just go ahead and leave it on YouTube, but I'm just letting you guys know now, like, that is not there's no accuracy to that from what I've seen. Here are some things that I think we need to know about Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare Workers CEO that was assassinated yesterday. The threat came in Wednesday just after 7 p.m. The bomb squad was dispatched there, and they didn't find any explosives. Sources are saying that it could have been a family member of someone that was denied health insurance or denied coverage. And I don't think that, though. Now, I understand why people think that, but I personally don't think that, but I may be wrong. Now, sources are saying that there was 3 9mm shell casings that the cops recovered from the scene outside of the Hilton in Midtown. And there were words carved into the casings that said deny, depose, and defend. Now, there is a book that came out in 2010 that has delay, deny, and defend. Now, I'm not really sure if maybe that was done to kind of throw law enforcement off on who it possibly could have been, because we always know nothing is ever as it seems, right? Now, sources are also saying it could be a disgruntled employee, which is possible, but I feel like with something like this, especially in the climate we are politically and the way things have been going, I think that there is something behind this. I don't think that this was just your average person or your average reason. But this is just my personal opinion. I think it's someone or something that has to do with money. And when I say money, I'm talking about millions and billions of dollars. I don't think that it is just your average Joe that was disgruntled and was like, oh, we're gonna get this guy. I may be wrong, but nothing is ever as it seems. There's always like a deeper reason. So I don't think that. But again, this is just my opinion. These are the only 2 pictures that law enforcement has been able to retrieve for the suspect, which I think is interesting because this could really be anyone, and I think it's going to be kind of hard to ID.
Correction, without his mask on.
But these photos also aren't very clear, so to me that's kind of concerning if they do find someone that could possibly match. I feel like a lot of people can, because you don't really know, like, only when you see certain parts, like the face itself, I don't know. What do y'all think? But I just don't think this is easy to identify. Now, again, I was wrong yesterday. I said Brian Thompson was 35 years old. He was actually 50 years old. And like I said before, he has 2 minor kids and a wife. And I know I've been seeing people saying
things about his death and kind of making it a joke, but I feel like we're so detached, and um, regardless of what he did in his career or what company he worked for, or you know, things that were done within a company that people might not have liked, at the end of the day, it's still a human life, and I think we should still value life, right? And the fact that we're detached, he's still a dad. There's two kids missing their dad tonight and last night. There's a wife that her husband didn't walk back in the door yesterday. There's a mom and a dad that lost their son. There are friends that lost their friend yesterday. He's still a person, he's still human, and I think that we should still care. Um, and I know everyone's not going to agree with this, and that's fine. Everybody can have their own opinion, they can feel their own way. But I feel like him doing his job is him just doing his job. Does that make sense? Like, and granted, he made a lot of money. I get all of that, but I think that life is still sacred, and we should still value life. This is my opinions. This is the information that I have been able to get off of TMZ, and let's see what happens. His job has already been posted, and the meeting that they were supposed to have yesterday, they still held it after his assassination. If this is not a lesson to be learned, take care of you. Never put your job first. And I know that that is very hard for people that really care about what they do. They put their all into everything, but don't forget about you. I think if that is one message that I feel like this should send, it should be that. Bye bye for now. When people talk about 50 making this documentary about Diddy, they act like it's just jokes and trolling. But if you really know hip hop history, you know there's another layer to this. And that layer is Chris Lighty. Chris Lighty wasn't just a manager, he was one of the most respected executives in hip hop. He helped shape the culture. He built brands. He changed artists' lives, including 50 Cent. To 50, Chris wasn't just business, he was family. He was loyalty. He was one of the good ones in an industry filled with predators and politics. When Chris died, the official story never sat right with a lot of people. Not because anyone pointed fingers directly, but because the narrative felt incomplete. It felt rushed. It felt too neat for a man whose life was everything but neat. And if you pay attention to 50, he has never truly healed from that loss. He never believed Chris got the respect or the truth he deserved. 50 has watched this industry protect certain men, while the good ones get overshadowed, pushed out, or destroyed. He's seen how power works behind the scenes. He's seen how fear has kept people silent, and he's seen how many lies get buried because someone is too powerful to even challenge. So when people say, why is 50 Cent doing this? Why is he going so hard at Diddy? I don't think people realize this may not be about pettiness at all. It might just be about justice. It might be about balance. It might just be about exposing the kind of corruption that men like Diddy create and Chris Lighty never benefited from, but was swallowed by. 50 didn't just make a documentary. He made a statement, a challenge to the industry that thinks it's untouchable. People say 50 is petty. No. 50 moves with purpose. And if you know the history, if you know what Chris Lighty meant to him, you know the patterns of abuse, fear, and manipulation that this documentary exposed, then this documentary starts to look less like entertainment and more like a man that wanted justice to be served and to finally tell the truth about the industry. And so many people wanted these things to just disappear. So yeah, maybe 50 didn't just clown Diddy. Maybe he avenged the people that the industry failed. And Chris Lighty, he might have been at the top of that list. Let's talk about something that the documentary barely scratched on, but the industry has been whispering for years. And that's the beef between Tupac and Biggie. It wasn't organic, it wasn't natural, it was manufactured. And a lot of people believe Diddy played a huge role in escalating it out of jealousy. People forget Tupac and Biggie were friends. They hung out, they respected each other. Pac was literally mentoring Biggie at one point. So, how did we go from brotherhood to full blown coastal warfare? That doesn't just happen. Once Biggie's stars started rising, the energy shifted, not between Tupac and Biggie directly, but the people around them. The music industry lives off of conflict, and certain people, especially powerful executives, realize that creating tension means more money, more attention, and more control.
Now, I'm not making any accusations. I'm talking about the long-standing beef in hip-hop. People in the industry have said for years that Diddy fed Biggie certain narratives and fed the media certain narratives that made Pac feel betrayed. Not because Biggie actually did anything, but because Diddy saw Tupac as competition, and competition threatened his power. The documentary shows Diddy's patterns: jealousy, control, ego, the need to be at the center of everything. So when Pac and Biggie were both becoming the face of hip hop, many people think Diddy wasn't having it. So instead of supporting unity, he allegedly leaned into the division. Pac and Biggie both lost their lives, and the saddest part, neither one of them started the war. They were manipulated into believing that they were enemies. This documentary reopened old wounds, every rumor, every whisper story. And when you connect the dots, the beef between Tupac and Biggie starts looking less like a rivalry and more like a setup. Also, after watching that documentary, the one thing that I think nobody should be disputing is that Wendy Williams, they put a muzzle on her, allegedly. But one thing I find very interesting is TMZ supports Wendy and Diddy. I think that's a conflict. Like when you really see how everything's played out, it's been a big circle but a small one, and it's a dominoes effect. Wendy was silenced for this very reason. Because even when Wendy had Diddy sit on her couch and talk, you know, she was looking at him like, go off, King, but she knew what was really tea. You know what I'm saying? Like, Wendy was given fake peace treaty. She knew. She knew this whole time, and everything was getting ready to come down, and he was like, off with her head. I'm just saying, allegedly, but that's my opinion. You can't tell me this is not all wrapped up. Why do y'all keep saying 50's trolling? I want y'all to think about how many lives are not on this earth right now with Diddy's name in the center of it, but nothing. The 9 lives that were lost at that basketball game. Let's talk about that. 9 people passed away because of his negligence, but when he started his company, he gave 25% to one of his friends and the other 75% to his mom, so that if those people or their family tried to go back after him to sue, they wouldn't be able to come and get anything. Just imagine you were negligent with people's lives and you wanted to make sure that you could keep your money at all costs. Misa knows whatever happened to Wolf Jones, allegedly, because Justin looks exactly like Wolf Jones. They know Diddy is not his father, allegedly. But why would that never be a conversation? Because Misa knows whatever happened, allegedly. Let's talk about Chris Lightly. He didn't unalive himself. 50 knows that. And I think that Chris Lightly is the driving force behind this whole documentary. He wants justice for him. Now let's talk about Tupac. He allegedly had him unalived out of jealousy. He wanted to be in his skin so bad. He had a baby with Tupac's ex-girlfriend. Imagine being so angry that you weren't somebody that you like, I'm going to make your girlfriend my baby mama. And let's now move on to Biggie. Biggie didn't even want to be there, but he set him up to allegedly pass away. Now imagine you pass away and you tell everybody, I'm going to throw the biggest funeral for my bestie. Biggest funeral. I'm going to go all out. And what do? You charge it to his estate. And you turn around and your unalived bestie, allegedly, right, that's supposed to be on the front cover of Rolling Stone, you call them and say, hey, you need to pull that cover because my album is coming out. I need to be on there. I know he passed away, but whatever, he ain't here. You ain't got to worry about him. And to top it off, every year on his unaliving date, you fly out the same ex-worker to have a big freak-off party in celebration of that man's. One thing I will say, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's the truth. Your kids will suffer for the things that you have done. It is so important to be a good person because your kids are going to reap what you sowed. And baby, I pray that there's mercy on them. Everybody's busy talking about Diddy like he invented the chaos. Like he woke up one day and said, let me build an empire out of pure foolishness. But baby, let's be serious. Before Diddy even knew how to hold a clipboard, Clive Davis was out here designing the whole playground. Slides, swings, monkey bars. Clive said, here you go, sweetie, go play. Diddy didn't make the game. He just sprinted across the field like it was game day. And that is why I've always said, before Diddy learned how to play the game, Clive built the very playground he played on. He paved that road and he installed the Wi-Fi. Diddy didn't just show up with a whistle and start running laps. Clive gave him the industry rulebook, and Diddy said, cool, I'm gonna remix it myself and put my face on the cover and confuse everybody. He took Clive's system and turned it into Bad Boy Boot Camp. Nobody got paid. Everybody got yelled out. And somehow, it was a cultural reset because he was the face of it. Clive just runs around like a Bond villain. Now 50 Cent's dragging him like a Greek chorus with a budget. But the gag is 50's really fighting the student when the teacher is still in the back sipping his tea. Diddy didn't build that playground. He just ran across it like he stole something. Clive Davis, he's the one who designed, he was the architect, and he was the whole obstacle course. And baby, Diddy didn't just play the game. He turned recess into a RICO case. Just when you think things couldn't get any deeper, Diddy allegedly recorded a secret conversation with his own attorney. Then let the world see it. That video might be the loudest betrayal yet. A TMZ exclusive says the documentary had footage that was confidential between Diddy and his lawyer, and the lawyer didn't even know it was being recorded. That's not just strategy, that's a paranoia meeting betrayal. When you record your lawyer, you break the confidentiality. You turn them into a witness. You send a signal that everything recorded, public, private, and personal. This isn't an accident. This isn't just a bad judgment. This fits the pattern. Control the narrative, control the people, control the outcome. This reveals exactly why so many are afraid to speak out. Because from legal counsel to bodyguards to employees, nobody's off record. And when somebody holds every microphone, there's no silence. This isn't just about a scandal. It's about a confession. Diddy didn't just lose a case. He lost trust, and the world just watched him write the footage himself. What are your thoughts? Drop them down below.